The next topic I'd like to talk about is how you can decide which pictures you really care about to edit. When you really get into photography, you may be taking a ton of pictures, and you won't necessarily want to keep all of them or even edit all of them. So down here on the bottom, you'll see I've already starred through, rated is what it would be called, some photos. The ones that are higher rated are the ones that I cared more about. The ones that I didn't even rate at all, I didn't bother to bring into the folder for this demonstration. In this filters area, you can filter things based on how you rate them. That can be a real nice thing to do. Now, in order to rate a picture, you'll want to click on it, and then you can either right-click and go to Set Rating, or on your keyboard, if you use the bracket keys, which is between the P and the backslash, you can increase ratings or decrease ratings real easily. Now this may come into effect later on in the class as you're taking a lot of pictures for a project and you only want to just see the ones that you really want to edit. So that's the first thing. You can filter based on rating. So if I click just to only see the 2-star photos or the 1-star photos, that's how you can make that happen. All right. So let's talk about this side of our develop area. So whenever you want to make changes to a picture, you click on the develop tab. This is where you'll find a lot of the basic edits. If it's not expanded, you'll just want to expand down with an arrow and you'll be able to see all the different tone edits and things that are called changes of presence for your picture. These are kind of the basic edits that you'd start with. First off, we have something called temperature. Temperature can be changed to make it so that it's either a warmer picture or a cooler picture. So you'll see going to the right really brings in a lot more of a orange to yellow hue to the picture. Going in the other direction brings in more cool tones. So you kind of go more towards the blue and kind of like even purple sometimes. Though depending on what you're hoping to have as a mood in your picture, you may change the temperature. Tint, I don't tend to change too much on my pictures. Sometimes based on trying to see the correct color in a picture, I may need to change the tint, but usually I'll skip over that one. Exposure is something we may have learned about in the class already. You can change that in the camera as you're taking a photo, but it's the same kind of effect in Lightroom. You can increase the exposure to make the photo look brighter. Eventually, you'll start to lose detail. As you go brighter, you'll lose some of those brighter details in the photo. They'll turn to pure white. If you go the opposite direction, you'll make the photo darker, and you'll start to lose a little bit of the darker details in the photo first. Contrast is nice. It can change the difference between the brightest and the darkest areas of the photo. So you may take away some of your midtones as you increase your contrast. You'll see the dark areas get darker, the bright areas get brighter, and you don't have as many midtones. Highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. These all have to do with different areas of the photo. I haven't mentioned anything about this right up here, but this is the histogram, and it is telling you where information is in the picture. So you may have spikes of data for the photo within parts of the picture. So highlighting over an area, you'll see what it stands for. So all the way on the left-hand side, there's blacks, and it even shows you when I held this over here that it was going to affect that part of the tone area. And you can actually just click on the histogram to move that part of your photo too for its data. Shadows are in this part. So going to the right, to the left, I can affect how the shadows areas looks. Going this direction, I'm able to see a little more detail in that black dress that girl's wearing. Here's the exposure area. So that's going to affect kind of the largest part of your histogram. Here's highlights. Going to the left makes it darker, going to the right makes it brighter. And then lastly, whites is way on the top here. So you'll see I can affect those brightest areas of the picture based on moving that slider back and forth. So this is a real great way to just affect the exposure, or I should say tone, part of your picture. Okay, down here we have presence. presence is how you can affect maybe the detail in the picture a little bit more. So from texture to clarity, these are the two that are the most common that I'll work with. Increasing it tends to make the photo a little more sharper. And texture and clarity are pretty similar. One of the side effects, though, of changing these is it really affects your contrast in the photo. So if you push it too far, you'll end up really making the photo look more crisp, but you might end up affecting the tone quite a lot in your picture. I don't tend to work with dehaze too much. Vibrance and saturation have to do with how color appears in a photo. So let me switch to a picture that has a little bit more color in it. We have some nice greens in the background behind this image here. You'll be able to see that. So vibrance and saturation all have to do with how color appears. If you go too far, you might make your photo look a little bit strange. Saturation, again, also affects color, but on kind of a different scope than vibrance does. I think saturation tends to affect your contrast a little bit more than vibrance. So that is everything within this basic edits area. So that's going to be a great thing to know about as you move forward in editing in this class.